So here we are at the Harper College Natural Area, and I'm actually just across from the parking garage. So if you're familiar with where the parking garage is, I'm just across from the parking garage. And this is a restored prairie. So this is an ecosystem that used to be all over the state of Illinois. And then for the most part, the prairie was ripped out because, as it turns out, the soil underneath these tall prairie grasses and plants was excellent for growing crops. So the entire state of Illinois at one time actually had this as its major ecosystem. So what you can see in the prairie is you can see a variety of lots of tall grasses, lots of wildflowers, and again, we're kind of in between seasons here in the prairie, so we're late summer getting into early fall. So you can see some things like the goldenrod is just starting to come up, and our black-eyed Susans are just sort of at their end. So this is, again, just an ecosystem that would be representative of our state, if you want to think of it that way. So what kind of things can you find in here? So I've asked you to go outside and I've asked you to record 10 different plants and 15 different animals. And at first that might seem like a lot, but keep in mind that we've got lots of different places that we can look for plants and animals. So as I've sort of been standing here, I have heard and seen several different types of birds. And birds are one of those animal species that lots of us are familiar with, right? So hopefully you know what a cardinal is, you know what a robin is, a crow, a blue jay. Those are things that are common in our areas. Those are things that you can actually write down, right? So definitely make sure as you're outside that you are looking up, that you are paying attention to any birds that might be flying overhead. Take a close look into nearby trees. So that's going to be a good place to spot some of this wildlife. Speaking of trees, other things you'll see in the trees, of course, we've got lots of squirrels in our area, so that's sort of an easy one to capture. There are a variety of other smaller insects. Don't forget to think of insects when you're looking for things that are in your local little ecosystem native to you. So make sure that you're paying attention to what's flying around, right? So take a close look at the plants. And again, I was hoping to find something in particular that I could sort of zoom in up on for you guys. But right now you're likely to see lots of grasshoppers, lots of butterflies. You're still going to have bees, different types of flies. So again, make sure when you're thinking of all these different animals that are around, you know, don't forget the small things too, right? And then what's probably going to be a little bit harder, to be honest with you, are the plants. And I get that. So as far as the plants go, you know, some of the trees that would, oh, there's a little goldfinch, he just flew away. I tried to capture him, but I couldn't. As far as the plants go, just sort of do your best. Trees should be a little easier, right? So we have oak trees and we have maple trees and we have pine trees. Well, there's a little bird for you. There's a little house finch up there. So we have oak trees and pine trees and maples and things like that. So those should be fairly easy. Also think of things that aren't trees. So again, this plant right here is very common right now this time of year. This is called goldenrod, and it's in a lot of different places, not just prairies. You find it in an awful lot of places, okay? And then I don't see any asters. If there were some asters around here, I would show you those too. But those are little white and purple flowers, and those are kind of common also right now. So again, you can definitely use the Google Lens if you need to sort of help you identify some of these plants, but don't try too hard with the plants, right? I'm not necessarily concerned that you're able to accurately identify things. I just want you to get a sense of what happens to be in your ecosystem. Other ecosystems here on campus also include some forested areas. So the forested areas here on campus are a little bit small, kind of fragmented and broken up, but this is something that you actually might see a little bit more of if you go to a local forest preserve, for example. So the types of animals that you see, again, apologize, I'm still on Humber's campus and they're mowing right now. The types of animals and plants you see in the forest will be slightly different than things that you see obviously in the prairie. So, you know, once again, pay really close attention to things you see on the ground this time. So in wetter areas, you definitely will probably see frogs and toads and things like that. You're likely to see ground squirrels. You are still likely to see some of the same types of birds, for example, but you also might see or hear woodpeckers or other things. So again, just kind of take the opportunity and the advantage to go out and explore and see what you can find. And again, if you don't come up with exactly 15 animals that you see, it's okay. You kind of know what's in our area. You can come up with the rest. Same thing with the plants, for example. If you don't exactly see 15 different type of plants, then it's not that big of a deal, right? All right, so that does it for this week. So find a place to go outside. If you can just go to your backyard, that's fine. But if you do have the opportunity to go to a local park or a forest preserve or a nature preserve, that would be even more ideal. Catalog your 15 different types of animals. Look up, look down, listen. You'll see lots of things. And your 10 different plants. And then you're going to use that information in lab to look at how things interact with each other. You're going to use that to create food chains and food webs. You're going to use that information for looking at how nutrients cycle through an ecosystem. And then also talking a little bit about some species interactions like competition. If you ever have any questions, please let me know.